Anyway for 2L TV, and before you buy, and today I'm reviewing the LG Nexus 4.
With the Nexus 4 made by LG for Google, and it is a current Nexus device. And what that means is that the phone is actually running stock Android with no third-party manufacturer skin on top. It is the most current version of Android. It is running Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, and out of the box you will get an update right out of the box. I purchased this phone from Google directly from the Play Store, and rumor has it that the phone will also be readily available from T-Mobile starting, I believe, end of January. So if you can wait, I will order the phone from Google Play Store. There's two variations of the phone, 8GB and 16GB, starting at $299 and $349. There is no expandable memory slot, no micro SD card slot, so you are sort of stuck with whatever storage you get out of the box. So let me go through the specs really quick. We're looking at a 4.7-inch display, 1280 by 768 pixel. It's about 320 ppi. It is what LG calls a WXA IPS display, and the display is covered in Corning Gorilla Glass 2. And for those of you keeping track, right now we're currently on Corning Gorilla 3. The Nexus 4 is running Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro, a quad-core CPU. And the phone weighs in at 139 grams, which is pretty average weight for a phone with a 4.7-inch display. On the back, you have an 8-megapixel rear-facing camera with autofocus and LED flash. And the front, you have the 1.3 megapixel forward-facing camera for your selfies. The phone does not come with 4G LTE support in the base radio, so you are stuck on GSM, UMTS, and HSPA+. But if you're in the US, HSPA Plus is actually not too bad. I'm getting pretty good speed on T-Mobile, and I also heard good things about AT&T as well. And with more and more phones moving to 4G LTE, I can only imagine the performance on HSPA Plus would be better. As I mentioned before, the phone comes with either 8GB or 16GB internal storage. And of course, with the OS running, you actually have less storage than that. The phone actually comes with 2GB of RAM, which complements the CPU very well. There's no slowdown in anything I do on this phone at all. And the only slow part is when I have poor reception and I'm waiting for web pages to load or apps to update. If you look at the phone around the edges, you got buttons on the left side and the right side. You have your power button on the right and your volume toggle on the left. And the 3.5mm headphone jack is on top, and your micro USB port is on the bottom. The phone does support wireless charging via the Qi standard, and it does charge a little bit slower than over micro USB, but it's a very convenient feature, and it also comes with NFC. I have yet to find a use case for the NFC, but wireless charging I've been using at home a lot, and it works really well for me. And speaking of charging, the phone comes with a 2100 mAh lithium polymer battery, and it is not removable because the phone is glass on the front as well as the back, a la iPhone 4S. So one of the biggest selling points of the Nexus 4 and all the Nexus phones from Google is that you're getting the quote-unquote pure Android experience directly from Google. So anytime there's an update, a software update, this phone will get it first. There's no carrier standing in your way and slowing down your update process. I know a lot of people on Verizon with the Google Nexus was complaining how it took them several weeks, even a couple months before they were able to get their Jelly Bean update. And with Jelly Bean, the greatest feature, in my opinion, is Google Now. And a lot of people have experienced Google Now already using the Nexus 7 tablet, which is sort of the entry-level drug for Google Now as well as Jelly Bean. And that's mainly because of the price point. It's a lot cheaper. It's a 7-inch tablet for $199. So you're looking at $100 less with 3 more inches. And from my personal experience, Google Now has been really accurate, and I want to say smart. It's because it's It's smart enough to figure out where you live for the most part, and also where you work. And if it doesn't figure that out by itself, you can always, go in their settings and set your address where you actually work and where you actually live. Why you will want the phone to know is because it will tell you every time you launch Google Now that the distance and as well as the traffic and the time that it takes you to get home. It doesn't sound like that's a very necessary feature, but it is way more useful than you expect. Anywhere you go, anywhere you are, if your GPS is on, it will tell you you're 30 minutes from home, you're 54 minutes from home, and it gives you the option to navigate right in Google Now. So if you don't know how to get on the freeway, you have your navigation right there. And also, the more you use Google Now, the more it learns about you, and it will tell you because Google Now is connected to all your Google accounts. When you set it up, it'll tell you things like, oh, there is an event on your calendar. It also tells you the weather depending on where you are, and it also shows nearby social events like concerts. Like I had no idea the Muse is gonna be at Oracle Arena, but Google knows. It also shows you things like movie times in nearby theaters. As I mentioned before, the performance of the phone is phenomenal. There is totally no slowdown whatsoever whenever I'm doing anything. I got 10 apps running at the same time and I have no issues with any lag whatsoever. Let me move on to the camera because everybody wants to know about the camera. The Nexus 4 comes with a 8 megapixel rear facing camera, which is sort of the industry standard now. And I do have a couple gripes about it. Autofocus is not as accurate as I like it to be. And low light performance is also not as good as a Samsung Note 2 or a Galaxy S3. Phone does record HD video in 1080p, and the camera app also comes with a new feature that's new for Jelly Bean, which is the photosphere. The easiest way to describe photosphere would be, it's basically, just imagine the street view in Google Maps, and you have the ability to take those panorama sphere picture on your phone, and the phone does a pretty decent job stitching all the images together as long as you're stable enough and you take your time taking the images, and you can get pretty good results. Another complaint about the phone is the IPS display. It's not as saturated as Samsung OLED displays, but it's also not oversaturated to the point where the display is poking you in the eyeball, like in the case of the Razer Max HD, where the display is just completely oversaturated and everything you look at is sort of jumping out of the display trying to rip your eyeballs out of your sockets.
Now for the pros and cons of the Nexus 4, I'm going to start with a con first. One of the con is the 8 megapixel camera. The low light performance is not the greatest out of all the phones in the market right now, nor is the autofocus. Sometimes it just spends too much time hunting for the focus, so you would miss your shot at times if it's an action shot. And the other con I have is the display of this phone. It is, even though the IPS, it is not the most saturated phone out there, and you can think of it sort of the opposite of the Razer Max HD, where the phone is completely oversaturated and it hurts your eye when you're looking at the phone. Pro of the phone is basically everything else. Everything else that comes with the phone or doesn't come with the phone, which is all the bloatware, all the skins that you would get from the manufacturer, and everything that you don't need in a pure Google experience. Buy, try, or don't buy, it is definitely a buy for the Nexus 4. Doesn't matter who you're buying it from T-Mobile or directly from Google from the Play Store. It is the buy for the 8GB model, it is buy for the 16GB model, and it is a buy from T-Mobile even at a premium price. And I have to say, life is good with the Nexus 4.